welcome back to the outskirts of Tokyo, where I'm here to drive something incredibly special and actually even older than me, and I'm pretty old.
This is the legendary Toyota AE86 Corolla Sprinter Trueno. Specifically, this is a 1983 model, and yes, I was very excited to finally get to drive one of these legendary cars. However, I was well aware that this is a nearly 40-year-old Corolla, so I did have my expectations in check. In addition, this isn't exactly a factory fresh model, so the question is, how does this car drive compared to my expectations?
Okay, on the road in the original AE86. Couple things to note, it is incredibly loud in here. The ride quality is laughably bad, but once again, this is nearly a 40-year-old car. What can you expect? Around town, this thing is not fun. There's no power steering, so if you need to park, the steering wheel's incredibly heavy while you do it. The suspension, like I said, is rock hard. It is not a comfortable car to be in. The noise, the engine noise is fantastic. The exhaust note is great. However, it's very loud. Now that we're at a stoplight, you can probably hear me. The second we get going, though, it's just definitely loud at some times. And if you're at the right speed, at the right RPM, there's this loud, boomy reverberation that goes on and you can't hear anything. So it's obviously a raw and visceral experience, or you can call it you're driving a really old car. I always wanted to drive one of these, and now today I'm doing it. And yeah, around town, this is not a great car. It's just loud, uncomfortable, and difficult to drive. The clutch is very light. You can kind of move forward very easily, nothing too hard to manipulate. The gearbox, I don't know if it's because this is just a severely old car, or this is how it's always been, but it's not the smoothest. Finding third gear sometimes is a challenge. But yeah, you can get up to speed, and you can probably hear everything in the world rattling. The build quality in the 1980s, even for Toyota, wasn't the best. So absolutely everything in here is rattling and vibrating. All the materials feel really hard, plasticky, cheap. It's a 40-year-old car. We've made a lot of progress. If you can accept the fact that this is a 40-year-old car, it's actually not that bad to drive. But if you're comparing it to any modern, regular car, this is just hilarious in terms of how far we've come. So this car's interior screams 1980s, and it's supposed to. It is from the 1980s. The color scheme and everything's hilarious. That digital gauge cluster, which probably seemed futuristic at the time, just really makes it look dated now. We have our manual locks, manual window winds. I love it. It's less to go wrong. The quality of the interior parts is actually not terrible, especially considering when this car was made. Given that it's 40 years old and this isn't a showpiece car, it's, stood the test of time pretty well. In terms of spaciousness, it's fine. This is no better or worse than a Toyota Yaris, a modern one at least. The rear seats are probably tighter, but overall, this is just meant for driving fun, And for that, I mean, it's a very practical car compared to a usual two-seater sports car in that sense. Okay, so we're now in the mountain roads, and my God, this car is winning me over. It was so uncomfortable and loud in the city, and yes, I'm becoming old, therefore I wasn't enjoying it anymore. Out here, oh, wow, it's fun. It's just everything about it. You can't get this experience in a newer car anymore. You have to have this old technology in order to have these sensations. Just the lack of power steering makes everything so much more engaging. It's like I don't even know how to describe it. I can't just be like, oh, there's more feedback from the wheel or something. It's just alive. I love it. And then that engine note as you accelerate, it's good fun. Everything's great. And then now you can tell these pedals are spaced fairly well for heel toe downshifting. And then you can just lay into it. If only I could find third more readily, this would be a much better experience, but I'm already having fun despite that. But of course, the sound is still deafening. It's just more excusable in the mountains. This is so much fun. I don't care how fast I'm going, and it's actually not that fast. It's just so much fun. It really is like driving a big, faster go-kart. This is so great. I really see why these cars have stuck around for so long. The technology's old, the refinement is not there, but once you're out here, the smile on my face that you can't see through the COVID protection mask is huge. I don't think I've been this happy in a long time. So the funny thing about this car is, it's actually not that fast, but I don't care. It sounds and feels like you're going 1,000 miles per hour all the time, but when you look down at the speedometer, you're not going that fast. And that's fantastic because recently police have been cracking down on, you know, speeding, etc. in these mountain passes. I don't want a speeding ticket. I just want to enjoy myself a bit legally, and this car will absolutely deliver in spades. It's just such a raw experience. It really doesn't matter if you're going slow or fast. This car is just fun, fun, fun. This has been my absolute favorite car to drive in the mountains so far. If you have a random house in the countryside near a mountain road, get one of these cars. If you don't, avoid it like the plague. It's just not worth having in the city. But out here in the mountains, my God, this is so fun. Okay, the sun's now going down, so that's the end of my filming day with the AE86. So conclusion time. Do I like the car and would I get one? No, it's sinfully uncomfortable and loud. I would not want to deal with this as a daily driver for sure. But I'll make an admission, coming out here to the mountains in this car was probably the most fun I've ever had driving. So I definitely get the appeal of this car. Yeah, so if you live in the mountains, this is a fantastic car to have fun in. If you live in a built-up area, it's probably not a good idea to get one. I mean, it's super fun driving out here in the mountains, but the drive to get here was not so fun. And now that I have to go back to Tokyo, I'm dreading the drive back a bit, if I'm honest.